The day's last light has faded to a gentle blue, and a hush falls over the world. In this quiet moment of dusk, you find yourself in a place of peace under an open sky. The air is mild and still, carrying the faint scent of cooling earth and greenery. All around, the noises of day have given way to soft silence. It's as if the world is holding its breath, preparing for the calm of night to settle in. The western horizon still holds a last vestige of the sunset's glow, a faint band of gold and rose, but even that is fading now, yielding to the deepening blue of night. You settle your body comfortably against the gentle earth, feeling the subtle warmth it retained from the day. Above, the first stars have begun to appear, tiny pinpoints of silver in the deepening sky. The blue overhead has nearly turned to black velvet, and a few early stars peek out like little lanterns. A slight evening breeze whispers through nearby leaves, a soothing hush that matches your own slow breathing. As darkness deepens, more stars reveal themselves, one by one, like old friends emerging from hiding. You notice that one of these stars twinkles with a faint amber tint, while another shines a cooler bluish white. Each has its own subtle colour if you look closely. Each new sparkle in the sky adds to a growing tapestry of light. The twilight sky shifts to a velvety midnight blue, and the arc of the heavens opens up above you. High overhead, the first star you saw now twinkles softly, joined by countless others scattered across the dome of night. There is no rush. Each star arrives in its own time, contributing a gentle glow to the night. You notice how naturally your eyes adjust, finding more and more tiny lights the longer you gaze upward. In this peaceful darkness, your senses become attuned to every detail. A faint, milky band of light now arches across the sky, the soft glow of the Milky Way revealing itself as your vision adapts to the dark. The world around you lies quiet and dim. In the distance, maybe a lone cricket chirps a slow, lazy song, then falls silent again. A moment later, from far off in the darkness, an owl lets out a brief, mellow hoot, its call echoing softly before all becomes still once more. You breathe in deeply, and the cool night air fills your lungs, bringing with it a sense of calm. As you exhale, you release any remaining tension, letting it drift away with the breeze. The tranquility of the evening wraps around you like a soft blanket. Your mind is unhurried, your thoughts gentle and light, floating as freely as the night air. Your limbs feel pleasantly heavy against the ground, and you sink further into comfort, safe and at ease. Now, your attention begins to drift toward the sky in earnest. With the day's concerns far behind, all that exists for you is this quiet moment and the expanse above. The stars beckon with their faint, timeless shimmer. You feel as though you could fall upward into the sky, into the welcoming dark, scattered with lights. Each star up there has a place in the pattern, and as you look, you can't help but sense there is something familiar about their arrangement. Your gaze softens and wanders among them, letting go of any effort and allowing your eyes to roam slowly. In the sky's grand mosaic of lights, gentle shapes begin to form. Without haste or strain, you find yourself tracing the outlines of a celestial map drawn in darkness. Above you, the faint lines of a celestial map take shape among the stars. Your eyes trace these gentle outlines effortlessly, connecting one sparkling point to the next. In the darkness, familiar patterns emerge, like delicate drawings made of starlight. There is a graceful arc here, a cluster there, and as you link them in your mind, the night sky begins to feel intimate and known. These constellations become soft landmarks in the heavens, guiding your unhurried gaze from one corner of the sky to another. Among these lights, one shines a bit more steadily and brightly than the rest. Perhaps not a star at all, but a wandering planet lending its gentle glow to the night sky. Over to the north, you notice a curve of stars that forms a ladle-like shape hanging in the darkness. Its bowl and handle are easy to imagine, as though the night itself offers you a cup of midnight blue. This grouping has guided countless eyes before yours. Following the line drawn by two of its stars, you let your gaze drift toward a single steady light not far away. There, the North Star glows softly, a faithful pinprick of light that has long marked the way toward the top of the world. It holds almost still as the other stars slowly wheel around it, a calm beacon in the turning sky. As you continue to scan the sky, more shapes reveal themselves. High above, a pattern of bright stars outlines what could be a great hunter, forever poised among the starry fields. Nearby, a trio of lights might be his belt, perfectly in line, guiding you onward to other cosmic landmarks. Further along, you find a gentle scatter of faint lights, forming the shape of a dipper of water, or perhaps a winged creature frozen in flight. Each constellation flows into the next, your eyes moving leisurely from one celestial figure to another without haste. There is no need to name these shapes if you don't want to. You can simply enjoy them as quiet companions in the sky, each with its own personality. Some clusters are bold and bright, immediately drawing your attention. Others are so subtle you might have missed them if you weren't looking so peacefully as you are now. But tonight, under this expansive sky, you notice even the faintest patterns. Stars that at first seemed random now gently fall into place, revealing an ancient map that has always been there. Under such patient observation, the sky feels personal and alive. Points of light that once seemed random now connect into shapes that carry meaning, as though the heavens are speaking in a quiet language only you can hear. Guided by this starry map, you feel a sense of direction, even in the vastness above. Where at first there was an endless scattering of lights, now there is form and meaning. The sky no longer feels overwhelming. It feels welcoming and familiar. Just as travelers in ages past looked up and found their way by these stars, you too feel oriented and at home beneath them. With every passing minute, more stars emerge, sharpening the cosmic map's detail. It's a map drawn in darkness, yet it glows with a gentle clarity. And behind each outlined shape, you sense there might be a story whispering to be told. A story that moves with the heavens themselves, waiting for you to listen. Your mind drifts to the ancient tales that live among these stars. Long ago, people looked up at the same patterns you see now, and filled them with stories and meaning. In the gentle twinkling above, they saw heroes and creatures, loves and adventures, all suspended in the night. As you gaze at the constellation of the Great Hunter, you recall one such legend, Orion, the mighty hunter, shining proudly in his eternal hunt across the winter sky. In the silence of the night, it's easy to imagine him there, a figure drawn in starlight, shoulder to shoulder with the dark. His belt of 3 stars glitters clearly, and just below, a soft haze marks the place of his sword. Following behind him, a bright star. Sirius sparkles like a loyal dog at his heel. Night after night, through the chill of winter, Orion rises in the east and makes his slow journey overhead. as if patrolling the heavens. These starry stories shift gently with the seasons. As spring blooms into summer, Orion's time in the spotlight fades. He settles into the west earlier each evening. In his place, new characters rise with the warmer nights. In the southern sky, a scorpion of stars arches upward, its tail curving in a neat hook of lights. According to one tale, this is the scorpion sent to chase Orion, ensuring the hunter can never linger long. As the scorpion climbs higher into the summer sky, Orion slips away, as if giving a respectful bow before disappearing beyond the horizon. It's a slow, patient dance, one constellation rising as another sets, their roles trading places as the year moves on. Overhead in the summertime, you might find a large swan made of stars gliding along the Milky Way, its outstretched wings marked by a shining cross of light. The ancients called it Cygnus, imagining a graceful bird eternally flying south along the river of the Milky Way's glow. When autumn arrives, that swan will drift lower, and other figures will come to prominence. Perhaps a hero and a princess, Perseus and Andromeda, whose stars tell of bravery and rescue in the quiet night. Each season brings its own cosmic storytellers, appearing right on cue with the Earth's orbit around the sun. People in other parts of the world saw their own stories in these stars too. Different heroes, animals, and legends tracing the night, all sharing the same sky. But no matter the tale, each culture found a sense of wonder and guidance in the sparkling firmament above. Not only myths are written up there, personal memories are woven into those star patterns too. Perhaps you recall a warm night from your own life, lying in the grass with someone dear, as they slowly connected the dots above and revealed a shape like the Big Dipper or Orion. You remember the quiet thrill when the pattern became clear to your eyes, a feeling that connected you, for a moment, to all the people in ages past who had done the same. Under these stars, generations have shared quiet moments and passed on their wisdom. Perhaps you remember a time when a friend or family member pointed out a constellation to you, tracing it patiently in the dark sky. Maybe you recall the feeling of wonder as you finally saw the outline they described, a feeling that connected you, for a moment, to all the people in ages past who had done the same. Under these stars, generations have shared quiet moments and passed on their wisdom. A parent might have held a child's small hand and guided it along a line of stars, whispering the story of a hunter, a bear, or a swan. In that way, the stars carry not just ancient mythology, but the tender weight of countless human nights and dreams. As the earth turns and the seasons change, these cosmic stories gently unfold above us. No matter how many times they've been told, there is something comforting about seeing them play out again and again. The same starry characters return year after year, reminding us that some things are timeless. Under the moving heavens, you feel connected to those endless stories and to everyone who has ever gazed up in wonder. The constellations are like old friends who come and go with the seasons, each bringing their familiar tale to whisper into the night. And as you listen to those whispers, you become more aware of the passage of time, the slow, steady rhythm of night and day, of season following season, all measured in the turning of the sky and the light of distant stars. In their journeys across the sky, the stars are also keepers of time, marking the hours and the ages with their patient glow. High above you, the stars have shifted, ever so slightly, since you first began to watch tonight. The change is slow and subtle, almost imperceptible moment by moment. Yet if you compare the sky now to how it was an hour ago, you'd notice that a constellation once overhead has inched a bit toward the western horizon. making way for others rising in the east. The heavens are not static at all, but gently turning, like a great wheel. In this quiet hour, you become aware of that steady motion. It's as if the night itself has a heartbeat, marked by the silent sweep of starlight across the sky. In ages past, people learned to read this slow movement of the stars to tell time. Long before ticking clocks or glowing screens, the night sky was a trusted timekeeper. A certain star reaching the highest point overhead might signal that midnight is near. The appearance of a particular constellation on the horizon could tell a traveller that the small hours of morning had arrived. For those who knew how to read it, a certain star reaching a particular spot in the sky signalled the hour. Perhaps a bright star standing directly south told the watcher that midnight was near. In this way, the night itself was a clock, and the stars its ever-reliable hands. Even now, lying here in the dark, you can sense the progression of time by watching these celestial changes. Minutes and hours slip by gently as one star trades places with another. There is no jarring alarm or loud bell, only the gradual, patient shifting of light. Each night follows this ancient rhythm. The stars rise, arc slowly above, and set, each on its own schedule. This motion is a reflection of our Earth turning, and it brings a comforting consistency to the darkness. No matter what happened during the day, the night always comes, and the stars always move in their ordained paths. Knowing this can be deeply reassuring. It's a reminder that the world has an order and a timing beyond the immediate concerns of life. Here, under the stars, time stretches out in a long, unhurried flow. You find yourself breathing in sync with that slower tempo, your heartbeat and thoughts calming to match the peaceful pace of the cosmos above. The stars not only mark the hours of one night, but also the seasons and ages of our world. Think of how certain constellations only dominate the sky at particular times of year, heralding the changes of season. Their return is like the turning of a grand calendar in the sky. But there's an even more profound sense in which starlight is intertwined with time. The light that reaches your eyes now has been travelling for years, decades, even centuries to get here. When you gaze at a star shining 100 light years away, you are seeing a glow that left that star 100 years ago or more. In essence, you are looking back in time. The night sky becomes a living record of the past, with each star a beacon carrying a story from a different year long gone. Some of the faint specks above have journeyed through space for so long that when their light first set out, the world was a different place. Perhaps many lifetimes have come and gone in the span of that starlight's travel. It's possible that some of those distant suns have already changed or faded by now. Their journeys ended, yet we still see their light as it was, a gentle echo of their existence crossing the ages. Yet here it is at last, meeting your eyes in this very moment, connecting you with a time long before you were born. In this way, the stars are both present and past, tiny time travelers sending whispers of history across the cosmos. And they will continue their silent transmissions long into the future, marking future nights long after tonight has become a distant memory. Under this vast canopy of light and time, you feel gently humbled and serene. The rush of daily life feels far away and small. What remains is the simple, slow turning of night above, and the soft record of years contained in each shimmer. Every star is a reminder that time can be patient and kind, not just urgent or rushed. It encourages you to let go of any lingering worries about hours and minutes. Here, in the midnight quiet, time almost seems to stand still, or at least to flow at the pace of a drifting cloud. You close your eyes for a moment and still sense the stars above, wheeling onward. Their steady presence lulls you, assuring you that there is no need to hurry. When you open your eyes again, you might notice one particularly bright star has moved just a bit closer to the horizon, a gentle nudge that the night is passing, even if you hadn't felt it. This natural, unhurried clock of the sky continues to tick in silence, guiding you through the night with its light. As you contemplate these distant lights and the epochs they have witnessed, you might wonder about the tools we've created to understand them. Far away in remote hills and mountaintops, human beings have built quiet instruments to measure the stars and the passage of time they represent. With delicate precision, these instruments collect the faint glow of far-off worlds and ancient suns, breathing in the darkness to deepen our understanding of the cosmos. Your mind drifts to those observatories and telescopes now, imagining them perched under the same sky, patiently gazing upward and listening to the stars' silent story. Your mind's eye takes you now to a solitary mountaintop beneath a crystal-clear night sky. Here, far from city lights and noise, an observatory dome sits silently amid the rocks and whispering pines. The air is thin and cool. Inside the rounded dome, in the darkness, a great telescope waits like a resting giant. At this late hour, a gentle whirring begins as the dome's shutter slowly slides open. The metal roof parts with a soft rumble, revealing the glittering sky overhead. It's as if the observatory itself is taking a long, slow breath of the night air, preparing to gaze deep into the universe. The telescope pivots ever so quietly, guided by unseen hands, or perhaps by its own automated memory of the sky's map. Its movement is smooth and deliberate, a precise dance to align its gaze with a target among the stars. You can almost feel the hush in this place. Only the faint hum of motors and the soft chirp of distant night creatures accompany the motion. Finally, the telescope comes to rest, fixed on a particular patch of darkness sprinkled with faint stars. In that patch lies something invisible to your unaided eyes, but the telescope knows exactly where to look. Peering through the eyepiece or watching the images this great instrument collects, you are treated to a sight that most can only imagine. A delicate cluster of stars emerges in the view, each point of light sharper and more numerous than you could see on your own. Perhaps it's a distant nebula, a cloud of glowing gas and newborn stars, appearing as a softly luminous haze. Or maybe it's another galaxy far, far away, revealed as a faint smudge, an island universe shining across millions of light years. Every photon of that image has travelled an almost unimaginable distance to reach this telescope. And now, in this quiet moment, those ancient rays of light are gathered gently by mirrors and lenses and brought to your eyes. It's like receiving a long-travelled message, finally delivered after eons of silent flight. Elsewhere, under these same stars, other instruments keep watch too. In a remote desert valley, a collection of enormous radio dishes tilts upward, listening not to light, but to the whisper of radio waves from the cosmos. They move slowly in unison, like a field of mechanical flowers turning toward the sky. Their surfaces catch faint signals that have crossed the void of space. The echo of a star's flare, the subtle hum of galaxies turning, or perhaps the quiet aftermath of a distant star's death. These machines make no sound that you can hear. They simply follow their programming with patient precision, breathing in the night's invisible frequencies. Together with telescopes that capture light, they expand our senses, allowing us to both see and hear the far-off universe. Far above the ground, even beyond the reach of the air, a lone telescope orbits the Earth in perpetual night. Out here, with no atmosphere to blur its vision, it opens a golden eye to the cosmos. This spacefaring observatory drifts silently around our planet, capturing pristine images of stars and galaxies and sending them back down to Earth. Though no human stands beside it, it keeps vigil on our behalf, an unblinking sentinel among the stars. Together with its earthly counterparts, it deepens our view of the universe, all in the hush of midnight. You imagine the dedicated people who tend to these instruments, working in darkness, eyes and ears tuned to the stars. An astronomer in a cozy control room might gently adjust a telescope's aim, focusing on a new wonder rising in the east. A technician might check the readings of a radio receiver, ensuring it's properly catching those subtle cosmic murmurs. Yet often, these observatories operate all alone through the night, their human caretakers having set them to run and then stepped away for a warm drink or a moment of rest. The telescopes and dishes carry on by themselves, steadfast and unblinking, as the Earth turns under them. They are like loyal guardians, keeping vigil under the sky, their only task to gather the universe's faint glow and quiet whispers, so that come morning, we may learn a bit more about our cosmos. During a pause in their work, one of them might step outside the dome for a moment. Looking up, the astronomer sees the same glittering canopy above that their telescope surveys, and feels the same quiet awe that you do, a human soul briefly soaking in the starlight with their own eyes. In the stillness of this mountaintop observatory, you feel a kinship with the telescope gazing skyward. Just as you have been lying under the stars, here is a great mirror, also soaking in starlight, piece by piece. Both you and this instrument are connected in purpose. Both of you are watchers of the skies, dreamers of the beyond. Standing beside the huge telescope, you place a hand gently on its cool metal side. It vibrates ever so slightly, a sign of the life within it. The tracking motors adjusting to the Earth's rotation, keeping the telescope locked on target. It is a subtle, rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat, reminding you that this machine is active and alive in its own way. As you look upward, where the telescope points, the stars seem even more inviting and near. You think of all the wonders that lie out there, many already glimpsed through lenses and mirrors, and countless more waiting. The desire to explore further stirs in you. Here on this dark peak, you've peered deeper into space than your eyes alone could manage, but still it only makes you yearn to go farther. What would it feel like to leave the ground entirely and float up into that boundless sea of night? A gentle thought tugs at your mind. Perhaps you don't need to only wonder. In this quiet dreamscape, anything is possible. Why not take a step beyond watching and begin journeying? You close your eyes and imagine that the telescope's gaze is pulling you along, guiding you up into the sky. In your mind's eye, you step weightlessly onto a path of starlight. The great dome, the mountaintop, and the Earth itself begin to fall away beneath you. Buoyed by curiosity and the night's calm embrace, you rise upward, ever so softly. The atmosphere around you thins, and the stars grow clearer and brighter. You are embarking on a new phase of this cosmic journey, leaving the solidity of Earth behind and entering the delicate blue-black edge of space. Higher and higher you ascend, the transition from Earth to space unfolding in slow motion. At first, you drift past the familiar heights of birds and clouds. The observatory on the mountaintop grows small below, soon indistinguishable among the darkened hills. The whispering pines and the world you left are falling away gently, their sounds growing ever fainter. You are enveloped in the cool night air as you rise, moving without any effort, as if cradled by an invisible current. There is no rush, no roar of engines, only a profound silence that deepens with each passing moment. The sky around you deepens from midnight blue to an inky indigo, and then to a soft black overhead. Fewer and fewer air molecules remain to scatter the last light of day, and the veil of atmosphere thins. As you climb, a delicate glow still lines the horizon far below, the very edge of Earth's atmosphere catching distant sunlight, a gentle blue halo encircling the planet. Above you, the stars shine with a new clarity. They no longer flicker or wink as they did from the ground. Each point of light is steady and crisp against the velvet darkness. The Milky Way arches across the sky like a glowing river, a million distant suns painting a faint cloudy band from horizon to horizon. You pass through the final layers of the atmosphere, where the air is almost non-existent. The last trace of any breeze slips away, and with it goes every earthly sound. Your own breathing is the loudest thing you hear now, a calm and rhythmic assurance that you are still here, still yourself, even as you venture into the realm of the stars. In this lofty silence, you feel an incredible sense of peace. Without gravity's strong pull anchoring you to the ground, your body feels light and free. You gently stretch out your arms and find that you can turn effortlessly in the weightlessness, floating as softly as a feather on the wind. At one point, a tiny, brilliant streak of light flashes far below you, a meteor silently burning up in the atmosphere. It traces a brief silver line over the dark earth, and then is gone. The night remains as still as before, the shooting star's appearance only underscoring the profound quiet of space. For a moment, you simply hover, suspended between Earth and space. You glance down and see the curvature of your planet extending out beneath you. It is a breathtaking sight, the Earth's surface sweeping outward in a grand, dark expanse. Large patches of the world below are cloaked in nighttime darkness, but here and there you catch tiny glimmers of light. A few clusters of golden specks reveal where cities are glowing far below, like small constellations on the land. Along the edges of some clouds, you notice a gentle flicker, perhaps the distant flash of lightning within a far-off storm. From up here, even those storms seem muted and slow, like the soft blinking of fireflies in the night. The higher you float, the more of your planet you can see at once. The horizon curves distinctly now, an arc framing the great sphere of Earth. A slender band of atmosphere hugs the planet's edge, a fragile, luminous outline that separates the blue world from the black void beyond. You realize how thin and precious that layer of air is, the one that nurtures all life below. Above that line, the sky is no longer sky at all, but pure space, endless and still. countless stars spread out in every direction, even below you now, peeking around the curve of the earth where night has fallen. It's as though you are at the center of a silent, celestial dome, with Earth as a gentle cradle beneath you, and the cosmos stretching out infinitely around you. Slowly, you begin to move forward along a path that will carry you around the planet. There is no sensation of speed or urgency. You glide, carried by the momentum of your ascent. Earth's gravity holds you in a delicate balance, neither pulling you back down nor letting you drift away. You have reached the threshold of space, where falling and flying merge into one continuous orbit. With a calm heart, you embrace this new perspective. Above, the stars beckon. Below, the world where you came from lies quiet and dark. You are now poised between them, ready to circle the sleeping earth in a graceful, unhurried dance under the starlight. You are drifting above the sleeping side of the earth, and the sight is profoundly tranquil. Below you spreads a vast expanse of nighttime world, quiet and subdued under the sky full of stars. The land is mostly dark where forests and fields lie, and the oceans are like black mirrors, reflecting only a hint of starlight. It's as if a soft blanket has been laid over the planet, dimming its colours and sounds for the night. In this gentle darkness, the earth seems at rest, breathing slowly beneath a cover of shadow. Scattered across the continents below, you notice tiny clusters of light. These are the cities and towns of the world, where human beings go about their lives. But at this late hour, even those bright points are calm and steady. Not the hectic glow of day, but a steady twinkle in the night. Seen from up here, they look like little constellations on the Earth's surface, echoing the stars overhead. A particularly large cluster of lights marks a great city, its shape tracing coastlines and rivers with a faint golden outline. Farther out, isolated pinpricks shine where smaller towns or lone ships at sea break the darkness. Each light is a quiet beacon of life, continuing in the dark. Yet collectively, they only enhance the sense that the world is resting. The busiest cities on Earth are reduced to a gentle glimmer from this height, as if to say that even civilization sleeps. Elsewhere, where the Earth remains completely unlit by human lights, nature's darkness reigns. Over vast forests and deep mountain ranges, there is nearly complete blackness, a comforting, rich dark that nurtures the living things below. In those regions, countless creatures are fast asleep. Birds tucked into trees, deer nestled in tall grass, families in remote villages, all snug in their homes. The silence over these stretches is palpable. You can almost imagine the soft chorus of nighttime nature drifting upward, the distant cricket songs, the whisper of a night breeze through trees. But from here, it is utterly still. The planet's wild places rest under the same stars, undisturbed and serene. Even the great ice fields near the poles lie in gentle darkness. Under the full moon's faint glow, they shimmer with a dim bluish light, adding a ghostly hint of brightness to the top of the world. As you float on, your eyes are drawn to the polar regions of the Earth, where an ethereal glow begins to shimmer. Ribbons of green and faint purple light swirl slowly at the top of the world, painting the darkness with ghostly colour. It's an aurora, the northern lights, gently flowing through the sky like a celestial river. From your vantage point above, the aurora looks like a luminous veil draped over the polar atmosphere, rippling and waving in silence. These lights move gracefully, shifting shapes at a leisurely pace. They might brighten for a moment, then fade, only to reappear in a new form, all without a sound. It's as if the Earth itself is dreaming, and the auroras are the subtle images of that dream, dancing at the edges of the planet's slumber. Even the weather unfolds without disturbance from here. You see a broad layer of clouds covering part of the night side, their tops illuminated softly by moonlight from above. Along those clouds, now and then, you catch a faint flicker. Lightning. But up here, it appears merely as a silent glimmer within the cloud layer, so gentle and brief, you might wonder if you imagined it. When the lightning flashes, it momentarily outlines the swirling patterns of the cloud tops in a dim silver light. There is no thunder to reach you, of course. The storms rage far below in silence, like a film playing without sound. In this way, even nature's more intense moments, a thunderstorm or a winter blizzard, visible as a broad white patch, become part of the peaceful tapestry below. They move and change with patience and grace, as if mindful not to disturb the sleeping world. Gazing down, you feel a deep affection for this beautiful, slumbering planet. This is your home, a delicate blue world now turned softly dim under the night's care. From up here, it's clear that all the boundaries and divisions of the day fade away. There are no lines on the earth, just one continuous cradle of life. The planet's surface, whether ocean or land, city or wilderness, is unified under the gentle darkness, all equally under the watch of the stars. You sense the harmony in it, how every living thing below, from the tiniest night-blooming flower to the largest city, is part of this single, quietly breathing world. Down below, nearly every living creature is at rest. Billions of people and animals slumbering through the night. From up here, you are like a silent guardian, watching over the sleeping world, a gentle companion to all the dreams unfolding below. Hovering in orbit, you are both apart from the Earth and intimately connected to it. In the silence of space, you become the silent watcher of the night, looking down with a calm, caring gaze. It is a view that inspires both wonder and reassurance. The Earth, in its nighttime repose, seems safe and calm. All around its curve, you witness the simple poetry of a planet at rest. Lights glowing like gentle night lamps, auroras dancing like slow heartbeat rhythms, clouds drifting like dreams across the sky. You continue to float, letting this immense sense of peace wash over you. Far below, the world sleeps, and you drift in comfort, ready to continue your gentle journey as the Earth turns ever so quietly beneath you. Time loses its meaning as you slip into a steady orbit around the Earth. You are circling the quiet world, moving effortlessly through the star-strewn darkness. The planet turns beneath you with unhurried grace, and you glide along with it, a silent companion in its nightly rhythm. There's no jolt or sense of haste, only the smooth, continuous motion of your path curving around the globe. Stars wheel slowly overhead and far below. The Earth's features pass under you like a vast, sleeping panorama. With each lap around the planet, you find new scenes unfolding softly, each one a testament to the gentle beauty of the night. High above a wide ocean, you look down at an expanse of water so large it seems endless. Even from space, the surface is mostly hidden in darkness, but along the boundary of cloud and sea, you catch faint glints of silver where moonlight touches the waves. Far beneath those clouds, sporadic flickers of light spread like veins of pale fire. Distant thunderstorms illuminating the cloud layers from within. These lightning veils glow and fade in slow pulses, casting momentary silhouettes of cloud tops that then dissolve back into darkness. You watch in wonder as a cluster of storms below paints a subtle, ever-changing pattern of light across the night-side ocean, like a secret signal only the heavens can see. As you continue your orbit, a new sight creeps into view along the horizon ahead. The soft sparkle of city lights outlining an approaching coastline. What begins as a faint shimmer on the edge of darkness gradually blossoms into distinct clusters and networks of light as you draw nearer. You pass silently from ocean to land, crossing over a sleeping continent. Beneath you, webs of golden light trace the map of human habitation. Gently glowing tendrils following highways and rivers, and halos of brightness marking great cities at rest. Some cities form pearls of light along a shoreline, hugging bays and curving around inlets. Others sprawl inward, a gentle nebula of luminescence scattered across plains and valleys. From up here, all of them seem peaceful, their usual bustle quieted into a soft, twinkling pattern. You feel as though you're watching the world's villages and metropolises dream together, each light a small story in the night. Crossing into higher latitudes, you approach one of Earth's polar regions again. This time, you are near enough to practically reach out and touch the aurora that shimmers below. An oval of dim emerald and violet light crowns the pole, swirling slowly like a luminous wreath. As you glide overhead, you can see the structure of the aurora from above, subtle rays and curls of light that extend outward from the atmosphere, reaching toward space like searching fingers. Occasionally, a brighter ribbon of green unfurls, then fades, as if the earth is breathing light. Flying above this spectacle, you feel a quiet thrill at the sheer grandeur and yet the gentleness of it. The aurora dances below you in complete silence, a cosmic ballet performed for no audience but the stars, and whoever might happen to be passing by at this lofty height. With each orbit you complete, the view below shifts slightly. The Earth's slow rotation ensures that no two circuits show you exactly the same scene. Where there was ocean before, now a new coastline might come into view. Where a cluster of lights once twinkled, now there may be darkness, as that part of the world moves deeper into night. Conversely, along the opposite edge of the globe, the first hints of dawn might be gathering, though still out of sight for you, leaving you enveloped in the lasting calm of night. The changes are gradual and measured, like the turning of a giant clock that never ticks loudly, only glides. You remain a patient observer, taking in each subtle transformation below with calm appreciation. After many tranquil passes around the planet, you have come to know the sleeping Earth in a new way. You have floated above its seas and mountains, its cities and wilderness, all under a blanket of stars. The planet's beauty, its calm and unity at night, has left a gentle imprint on your heart. You realize that no matter how many times you circle, there will always be something new to notice. A solitary storm flashing on the horizon, or a solitary island's lights winking in the vast, dark ocean. There is a comforting inexhaustibility to the world's quiet details. On one of your orbits, you let your gaze drift away from the Earth for a moment, out into the deeper darkness of space beyond. The stars out here are unwavering and ancient, and amongst them you notice a particularly bright, steady glow. It is not a star at all, but something much closer. The moon, your pale companion in the night. Hanging low above the curve of the Earth, the moon looks like a silent guardian watching over its partner planet. Its face is illuminated in a soft silver white, reflecting the distant sunlight. As you watch, it hovers serenely in the cosmic dark, casting a gentle path of light over the Earth's atmosphere and the oceans below. A sense of invitation emanates from that glowing orb. The moon has been a beacon for dreamers for as long as humans have looked up. And now here it is, within reach of your journey. You feel a subtle pull, the same curiosity that lifted you from the Earth, now drawing you toward this familiar yet mysterious neighbour. With a calm inhale, you prepare to set forth from the embrace of Earth's orbit. The time has come to leave the immediate circle of your homeworld and follow that silver road of light extending towards the moon. Slowly, almost reverently, you angle your trajectory away from the Earth. The bright sphere of the moon grows slightly ahead, beckoning you onward. You carry with you the peace of all you've seen, the stillness of the night Earth, as you drift further into space on a gentle path toward the moon's welcoming glow. You leave the Earth's embrace gradually, and as you do, you glance back at your home planet one more time. From this growing distance, the Earth looks like a peaceful sphere suspended in darkness. Part of it lies in night, a gentle shadow punctuated by the faint glow of city lights, no longer distinguishable individually, but merging into a delicate haze. Another part of the globe is touched by daylight, a curved sliver of blue and white where the sun's light still shines. You can make out the outlines of swirling clouds and the deep blue of oceans on that sunlit edge. The entire planet is wrapped in a soft halo. The atmosphere that appeared so thin when you were in orbit now forms a luminous ring around the Earth. It is a sight both humbling and heartwarming. Your whole world, quietly rotating in the endless night, looking small and fragile and incredibly beautiful. As you turn your eyes forward, the moon dominates your view. No longer just a bright spot in the sky, it now appears as a great pale disk hanging in space ahead. Its light is steady and silvery, a beacon guiding you onward through the void. Between you and the moon, there is a vast span of emptiness, and you traverse it in tranquil silence. Stars surround you on all sides, even below, now that you have left the Earth far behind. The Milky Way's soft glow is your constant backdrop, a familiar comfort in this new stretch of your journey. Out here, far from any planet, the silence is profound. Without a nearby world, there is truly nothing but you, the moon ahead, and the distant stars. Yet you do not feel lonely. The gentle glow of the moon keeps you company, and the faint blue orb of Earth still visible behind reminds you that you have not truly left home, only extended its boundary. You are a traveller between two shores, the Earth behind and the moon before, sailing a calm cosmic sea. In this quiet, your thoughts are unhurried and clear. You have all the time you could want to absorb the experience of moving through space under your own gentle momentum. There is no sense of hurry at all, just the continuous, serene gliding along the moon's silver path. As minutes and hours pass in this restful transit, the balance between Earth and Moon shifts gradually. Each time you steal a glance over your shoulder, the planet you came from appears a bit smaller, a glowing gem now, rather than the immense horizon-filling presence it once was. Its colours, the blues of ocean and whites of cloud, grow softer and more subtle with distance. The night side, which was so dark and vast when you were close, now hides from view, leaving the Earth as a crescent of dim light, then eventually just a pale bluish star twinkling far behind. Ahead, meanwhile, the moon grows larger and clearer. What was once a featureless bright disk now reveals gentle shadows and markings on its surface. You begin to discern the darker grey patches on the moon's face, the lunar seas, or maria, that form the familiar patterns people on Earth have gazed at for millennia. Perhaps you even notice the suggestion of the man in the moon. Or maybe it looks like a calm rabbit, or some other figure your imagination conjures. It's comforting to recognize these shapes from home, like finding a familiar face in an unfamiliar place. Drifting onward, you recall how the moon has always been humanity's companion in the night. Since ancient times, people have looked up at this glowing orb and found inspiration and solace. They have given it names: Luna, Selene, the monthly goddess, and wove countless stories about its gentle influence. Farmers once planted and harvested by its phases. Poets and lovers have long been inspired by its silvery glow. On some level, you feel all those memories and myths accompanying you on this voyage. In the silent chamber of space, it's almost as if you can hear a faint echo of all the lullabies and whispered wishes ever directed at the moon. They mingle with the soft starlight, guiding you closer and keeping you company. The distance between you and the moon now grows perceptibly smaller with each passing moment. What once was a bright circle now spreads out before you as a vast, ancient landscape coming into view. You can see that the moon is not perfectly smooth, but mottled with light and shadow. Along its edges, where night meets day on the lunar surface, the craters and mountains cast long, blue-grey shadows. This line between light and dark, the lunar dawn or dusk, curves across the moon's face, slowly shifting as the moon turns on its axis. You notice the biggest and most prominent craters, ringed with ridges that catch the sunlight and almost seem to sparkle at their rims. There are bright splashes on the lunar surface too, perhaps the remnants of long-ago impacts radiating out from certain craters like faint silver webs. The vast darker areas, the maria, are smooth plains that spread like quiet seas frozen in time. Under the sun's gentle rays, these plains have a subtle glow, a memory of the molten past now cooled and still. By now, the moon fills much of your field of vision. You find yourself slowing, the invisible silver tether of the moon's gravity beginning to draw you into its gentle hold. The sensation is not abrupt or jarring. It's as if you've floated into a soft current that gradually guides you along. You allow this lunar gravity to cradle you, steering your path as you prepare to draw nearer still. The surface features below grow more distinct by the minute. You can pick out individual craters within the Maria and Highland regions, pitted with countless smaller dents from eons of meteorite kisses. Everything you see speaks of incredible age and quiet. The moon has no wind, no rushing water. Nothing disturbs its silence, except the occasional distant dust stirred by a tiny meteor. It is a world that has been still and peaceful for millions of years, and that serenity now extends to you as you approach. Gliding down into closer orbit around the moon, you pass over its stark but beautiful terrain. Beneath you, the landscape is a patchwork of greys and whites, illuminated by the sun and contrasted sharply by black shadows in craters that lie in eternal night. Along the horizon of the moon, you can see the curvature of this smaller world, a gentle arc against the starry backdrop, much more pronounced than the Earth's broad curve, giving you a sense of the moon's petite size. Here and there, the rims of craters catch the sunlight brilliantly, like rings of glowing embers marking the lunar dawn at their edges. You sweep across a great lunar sea, its flat expanse ending in a distant coastline of jagged mountains rising from the moon's surface. These mountains are silent, their peaks casting long shadows that slowly shrink as the sun climbs higher above them. As you drift over the moon's night side, the scene changes to near complete darkness below, broken only by the faint earthshine, a subtle ghostly glow on the ground, caused by light reflected from the distant Earth. The landscape in this shadow is almost invisible, just a suggestion of shapes under a dim bluish twilight. You realize that down there, it is lunar night, cold and still, waiting for the touch of the sun. In a way, it mirrors how the Earth's night side felt, tranquil and waiting, though far colder and lonelier in appearance. Yet even in this darkness, the moon is beautiful. Its night side gently reflects the light of its parent planet, just as our Earth's nights are softly brightened by the moon. It is a reminder of the bond between these two worlds. Each lights the other's darkness across the void. Slowly, you transition once more into daylight as your orbit carries you around to the moon's sunlit side again. The stark, cratered surface below is aglow in soft whites and greys. The silence here is total. Without an atmosphere, there is no sound at all, not even a whisper of wind. You find that the quiet has a depth to it, as if it's not just an absence of noise, but a tangible tranquility that you can almost touch. In this profound quiet, you are free from all distractions, simply floating and observing a celestial body up close, something so few have ever experienced. It's deeply peaceful to just be here, circling the moon in solitude and awe, carrying the calm of your journey with you. For a time, you just continue to drift, letting the moon's gravity lead you on a looping path around it. Each moment reveals new sights. Here, a cluster of bright young craters that sparkle like frost. There, a smooth basin that stretches vast below. Occasionally, you catch sight of the distant Earth peeking over the moon's horizon as a tiny blue beacon, reminding you that home is not so far in the grand scale of space. The thought is comforting. Earth and moon, both in your view, both part of this gentle odyssey. You feel a sense of harmony, being exactly between these two companions of the solar system, like a traveller resting between known destinations. Gradually, your attention turns fully to the moon, your immediate destination on this voyage. Below you lies a wide, open plain on the lunar surface that seems especially inviting. Bathed in sunlight, it gleams softly, surrounded by the protective ring of distant mountains. It looks like a tranquil place to perhaps come to rest and explore. Perhaps you will descend there and set foot on that silent ground, feeling the powdery lunar dust under you. Or maybe you will simply continue onward, content to keep floating and watching from above. The possibilities are open and unhurried. For now, you simply breathe deeply, savoring where you are at this exact moment, on the threshold of another world. As you drift closer and closer to the moon's surface, you maintain that same gentle pace that has carried you throughout this journey. There is no rush at all. The pale lunar landscape slowly rises up to meet you, welcoming you with its age-old serenity. Your heart is calm and filled with quiet wonder. The adventure you have embarked on is far from over. In truth, it feels like it's only just beginning. Here, suspended between moonlight and moon dust, you let yourself simply be, content in the stillness and magic of this moment. The next chapter of your cosmic voyage waits just beyond the horizon, and you will greet it in your own time. For now, in this pause under the starlit skies, you float in peace, a traveller gently cradled by the moon's soft glow, ready to continue your voyage under starlight. Soft dust billows gently around our boots as we make the first hesitant footfall on the moon's ancient soil. In this low gravity, our steps are slow and bouncing, almost dreamlike, and each movement feels drawn out in time. The ground beneath is carpeted in fine grey powder that has gathered over eons, crushed from countless meteor impacts and bathed for ages in unfiltered sunlight. When we press our boot down, the powder compacts silently, and a small cloud of luminous dust drifts upward, hanging for a moment before settling back in gentle arcs. There is no breeze here to carry it away, only the silent insistence of gravity pulling each mote back to rest. Around us, the landscape stretches wide and still beneath the inky black sky. Nearby, the ground is mostly flat, a vast plain of hardened lava from an ancient era when the moon's interior still stirred with heat. In the distance, low hills and crater rims roll softly against the horizon, their shapes rounded by time and dust. Each crater tells a quiet story, circles overlapping like gentle ripples frozen in stone, created by impacts long ago, yet now softened by countless years of slow weathering from micrometeorites. The terrain has a hushed geometry, smooth, dark maria blending into lighter highland ridges, all illuminated under a brilliant sun that casts sharp shadows at our feet. The silence here is unlike any silence on Earth. There is no air to carry sound. Our movements make no noise in this airless world. We sense a faint vibration through the ground when we step, but it is felt, not heard. Above, the sun shines fiercely without a twinkle, and the shadows it casts are inky black and razor sharp at the edges. In those shadows, the cold is immediate and profound, while in the light, the grey dust glints as if sprinkled with tiny stars. This world is both brilliantly lit and deeply shadowed, a place of extremes held in perfect stillness. Every footprint we leave here may last for millions of years in this place without wind or rain. The notion is humbling. Our gentle tracks on the moon's face could remain long after we are gone, a silent record etched in powdery light. In the stillness, it feels as though time itself has slowed down. We are wanderers on an ageless landscape, our presence fleeting against the backdrop of lunar eternity. Yet for this moment, each step is intimate and meaningful, connecting us with a world that has forever gazed quietly back at our own. Now our journey carries us beyond the horizon, to the moon's far side, the hidden hemisphere that never shows itself to Earth. We travel in imagination over cratered highlands and ancient scars that sunlight reveals in stark relief. Crossing into this unexplored realm, it is as if we slip behind a curtain of silence. The familiar blue presence of our home world no longer hangs in the sky here. This side of the moon has never seen it. Instead, we are enveloped by a profound solitude, a stillness even deeper than before. The terrain here feels different underfoot. The ground is rougher, dominated by bright rocky highlands pocked with innumerable craters. Where the near side had broad, dark plains smoothing its face, this far side is a wild tapestry of ancient impacts left exposed. We walk carefully along the rim of a large crater that yawns before us. Its interior slopes descend steeply into darkness, and beyond its far edge, the jagged peaks of the lunar highlands claw at the sky. Everywhere we look, smaller craters overlap larger ones in a dense pattern, as if telling stories upon stories of meteors and time. This hidden side of the moon comes with an uncanny quiet, not just for the ears, but for the invisible signals that fill the space around worlds. On the far side, the moon itself blocks Earth's noisy broadcasts, creating a refuge of radio silence. No signals reach us here. It is as if the universe has lowered the volume to a whisper. In this radio hush, one can imagine hearing the faint music of the stars, or the steady heartbeat of the cosmos itself, things normally drowned out by the clamour of human activity. We feel cocooned in quiet, protected by the bulk of the moon from all the distant din of civilization. Without the Earth's bright glow in the sky, nights on the far side are truly dark and filled with stars. When the sun sets here, an eternity of constellations appears in all their pristine clarity, undiminished by any other light. Even during the long day, the sky remains an abyss of black above the glare. If we shield our eyes, we know the stars are still there, quietly watching. Standing on this lonely ground, one might feel a gentle pang of isolation, a reminder of how far from home we are. Yet that loneliness is paired with awe, as the cosmos itself feels closer, wrapping us in its vast, silent embrace. Standing on the far side's quiet ground, we become acutely aware of the celestial choreography that placed us here. The moon, the earth, and the sun move in a timeless ballet, sometimes aligning so precisely that one hides another's light. In the stillness of this hidden hemisphere, we can almost sense that gentle clockwork at play, setting the stage for the sublime phenomena of eclipse and shadow that await our witness. It is a celestial coincidence, almost too perfect. The moon, so much smaller than the sun, can at times cover it completely because it happens to be at just the right distance. This gentle alignment brings about the most delicate of cosmic events, eclipses, where shadows and light perform a silent dance. On certain days, the moon glides directly between Earth and sun, and a portion of Earth falls under the moon's shadow. Slowly, daylight begins to dim as a strange twilight descends in the middle of day. The warmth of the sun fades, the air stills, and the world seems to hush as the sky grows darker and the sun becomes a slender crescent of brilliant light. Then, in the span of just a breath, the sun vanishes completely behind the moon. Daylight surrenders to an eerie dusk, and a soft crown of light appears where the sun once shone. It is the solar corona, a diaphanous halo of pearly white rays that fan out gently into the darkness. Around the horizon, a 360-degree sunset glows in hues of pink and orange, the light of day beyond the shadow still painting the sky in the distance. Overhead, stars timidly emerge, and perhaps a bright planet like Venus gleams where moments ago it was lost in blue. For a few awe-filled minutes, the world is cast into cosmic twilight. In that silence, one can feel the clockwork precision of the heavens, as moon and sun align in perfect symmetry. Just as gently as it began, the eclipse ends. A brilliant bead of sunlight bursts forth from behind the moon, a sudden spark that grows into a blinding sliver. The spell of twilight is broken. Birds stir, the chill lifts, and daylight slowly returns to the land. The moon's shadow slips away, continuing its journey, and those watching are left with a quiet sense of wonder, having witnessed the day star briefly subdued by cosmic alignment. Eclipses do not belong to the sun alone. On other nights, the alignment reverses. Earth slides between the sun and the moon, and it is the moon that falls into shadow. When this happens during a full moon, the bright lunar disk gradually darkens. A circular bite of darkness appears at one edge and slowly swallows the moon's glow. But the moon does not vanish completely. Instead, it begins to shine with a dim coppery or reddish hue. Draped in Earth's shadow, the moon wears all the sunsets and sunrises of our planet at once, the light of our atmosphere bent into the shadow's heart. For someone standing on the moon at that moment, the sun would be completely hidden behind Earth. Earth's dark disk would loom large in the sky, its silhouette ringed with a halo of crimson fire. Every sunrise and sunset on Earth happening together at once. The lunar ground around them would glow faintly copper red, illuminated by that distant, haloed light. It is an otherworldly twilight, a brief and silent dusk where one stands in the shadow of an entire world. At totality, the moon hangs like a dusky ember in the sky, dimmed but not extinguished. The stars all around shine boldly now that the moon's usual brilliance is muted. After a time, this gentle darkness begins to recede. The moon slips out of Earth's shadow, slowly regaining its bright silver glow as it moves back into full sunlight. The cosmic alignment relaxes once more, and the familiar rhythms resume. As the shadow play ends, we return to the gentle daylight on the moon. Above the horizon, the Earth appears once more, small, blue, and luminous against the darkness of space. It hangs in silent splendor, a glowing sphere of oceans and clouds suspended in the void. After witnessing the grandeur of eclipses, our eyes now come to rest on this distant bright world, our home, shining quietly from the lunar sky. We find ourselves standing on a quiet grey horizon, the moon's silent shore, and in the sky above, that still horizon, something remarkable is rising. Emerging slowly into view is the Earth, climbing above the lunar landscape like a blue and white dawn. It appears as a radiant orb hanging in the blackness, small yet intense with colour. Swirls of bright white cloud cover dance over patches of deep ocean blue and brown-green land, all encircled by the soft glow of atmosphere. Against the stark lunar foreground, this distant world looks delicate and alive, a luminous pearl set in an endless night. The Earth's gleam is strong. Even here, 250,000 miles away, it outshines every star. We can discern the soft terminator line, where day meets night on that globe, one half brightly lit by the sun, the other draped in gentle darkness. If we focus, we might imagine the sparkle of city lights on the night side, but from here, the world appears serene and silent. There is no visible sign of the billions of lives, the winds and waves and voices moving beneath those clouds. All that energy is muffled by distance, and the earth hangs peacefully, as if in a tranquil dream. From this silent vantage, the earth seems fragile, a solitary oasis of blue in a vast darkness. Its atmosphere is just a thin, glowing outline, a delicate shell protecting everything we hold dear. Looking at our planet from here, it's impossible to tell where one country ends and another begins. All of humanity's boundaries vanish into the wholeness of that small sphere. We are struck by a gentle sense of unity and tenderness for our home world. On this quiet lunar shore, with the universe stretching endlessly around us, we gaze at Earth and feel both awe and a comforting familiarity. It is the loveliest thing we have ever seen out here, alive, luminous, and achingly beautiful against the void. Leaving behind the moon's quiet shores and our blue world, we drift inward toward the heart of the solar system. Ahead of us, the sun glows with unwavering brilliance, a great golden presence hanging in the void. In the dark emptiness of space, its light creates a gentle halo around our vessel, illuminating dust motes and casting a soft radiance on anything it touches. Though we are far from home now, the sun's warmth still reaches us, a steady reminder of the life and light it provides. The sun's face is steady and calm from our vantage. We cannot look at it directly for long. Its light is too intense. But we sense its benign presence watching over the solar system. If we shield our eyes and peer safely, we might imagine its surface, a sphere of roiling light with the faintest dark freckles of sunspots slowly drifting across. These subtle spots come and go over weeks, revealing that the sun turns leisurely on its axis. Yet nothing about its brilliant glow feels hurried or uncertain. For billions of years, it has burned with the same reassuring radiance, rising and setting over the planets in a dependable rhythm. This patient constancy is the quiet heartbeat of our planetary family, a gentle pulse that has nurtured life and marked the passage of time. In the silent vacuum, the sun's reach extends far beyond its visible light. A continuous breeze of charged particles flows outward from the star, the solar wind, invisible but ever present. It brushes past us as we travel, a soft breath of the sun that streams all the way to the edge of the solar system. This gentle wind ties us to the sun just as surely as its light does, connecting every world in a faint, ethereal embrace. Through it, we feel the sun's subtle touch, even in the dark of space. As we venture closer to the sun's realm, a small crescent shape appears against the glow. It is Mercury, the innermost planet, circling close to its parent star. Mercury's presence beckons us onward, a tiny, swift world where dawn breaks quickly after a long night. We set our course toward this little messenger of the sun, eager to witness its quick dawn and the landscape of a world nearest to the day star. On Mercury's desolate surface, the long night is about to break. For countless silent days, this tiny planet's lands have lain in darkness, bitterly cold and still. Now, on the eastern horizon, a pale glow begins to emerge. There is no rosy dawn here, no atmosphere to tint the sky, only a subtle growing light on the jagged line of craters and cliffs. Then, without warning, the sun's edge bursts into view, rising swiftly. In an instant, the pitch-black landscape is pierced by brilliant sunlight. Mercury's quick dawn has arrived. As the sun lifts higher, daylight floods Mercury's barren ground. The sun looms larger in the sky than we ever saw from Earth, shining with a fierce clarity. The frigid rocks and dust begin to warm under its blaze. At first, the shadows cast across the landscape are immensely long. Every ridge and crater wall stretches a dark silhouette far across the ground. Deep craters that were yawning in darkness remain black inside, even as their rims glow white with morning light. The contrasts are extreme, blinding sunshine wherever the light falls, and nearby, pockets of night still clinging to the shade. Despite the sudden brilliance of day, Mercury itself remains eerily quiet. The planet's atmosphere is barely more than a whisper, just stray atoms wafting above the surface. There is no air to carry sound or soften the sun's glare. No gentle breeze greets this morning. The dust and rocks lie unchanged by the coming of light. In the absence of any wind or weather, the only movement is the slow retreat of shadows and the steady growing heat under the sun. It is a dawn utterly without the usual softness of morning. Beautiful, but stark and silent. Above, the sky remains a limitless void, even in daytime. With virtually no atmosphere, Mercury's heavens do not turn blue. They stay black, speckled with stars that share the sky with the glaring sun. It is a strange sight, the sun pouring down brilliant light, while overhead the cosmos itself is still visible around that blazing disk. Daytime on Mercury is like standing in a cosmic night illuminated by a nearby torch. The effect is otherworldly and profound, bright day and deep space coexisting at once. In Mercury's quick dawn, we have witnessed daybreak in its raw, uncompromised form. Now, as this tiny world basks in the sun's unforgiving light, our gaze turns outward again. We leave Mercury to its long, scorching day and set our course toward a very different kind of morning. Ahead of us, the planet Venus awaits, wrapped in thick clouds. Where Mercury's skies were clear and black, Venus's are hidden behind a veil. Our journey continues to the shrouded sphere of Venus, the brilliant evening star, where a perpetual twilight reigns beneath a restless atmosphere. We approach Venus, and at first glance, it is a smooth, shining pearl in the sunlight. This is the brilliant evening star we know from Earth's skies, but up close, it shows no features, only an unbroken white veil of cloud. Unlike Mercury or the Moon, there are no craters or plains visible, nothing of the surface at all. Venus is entirely cloaked in a dense atmosphere that reflects the sun's light in a soft ivory glow. Beneath that serene exterior lies a very different world, but from space it appears calm, an almost featureless sphere swathed in pale gold white. Our spacecraft descends into the upper layer of Venus's atmosphere, and we are immersed in a silent sea of clouds. The sunlight around us turns diffuse and golden, filtering through layers of thick haze. There is no blue sky here, just a bright, hazy glare from all directions, as if the whole sky were made of light. We float along in a high-altitude current, and the wind carries us westward relentlessly. These winds never seem to tire. They circle the entire planet in mere days, racing far faster than the planet rotates below. Yet inside this vast cloud blanket, everything feels strangely gentle and slow. We are carried along by the atmosphere's steady flow, with no ground in sight and no clear horizon, only endless cream-coloured clouds extending to every side. In the depths of this cloud veil, day and night lose their usual meaning. The sun is a faint suggestion beyond the clouds, creating a perpetual twilight at these heights. On the day side, a warm brilliance suffuses the fog. On the night side, darkness is nearly complete, perhaps occasionally softened by distant flashes of lightning hidden within the clouds. Far below us, the surface of Venus lies in eternal gloom, never seeing the sun directly. It is hot and heavy down there, a world kept secret under the thick air. But here, high above, we drift through a ceaseless, sunset-coloured sky, where time seems to stand still, and the wind is our constant companion. There is a muffled stillness as we glide through Venus's heavens. The dense air carries our craft smoothly, with only the soft hiss of the wind around us. We have traded Mercury's stark, airless glare for a world of diffuse light and hidden landscapes. It feels as if we are dreamily sailing on a sky ocean, the clouds below like slowly rolling waves. In this high refuge, we sense the power of Venus's atmosphere, but also its strange calm. Everything is shrouded and mysterious, as though the planet keeps its secrets beneath a gentle, unending curtain of cloud. As we drift in the endless winds of Venus, our thoughts turn to the journey that shaped these inner worlds. Each rocky planet we've visited, baked Mercury, veiled Venus, our life-filled Earth, and the red planet still to come, was born from the same primordial cloud of dust and fire. Yet they have grown so different, each with its own character and fate. In this moment of reflection, we imagine the distant past, when these worlds were forming and evolving. It is time to leave the present scenery and gently step back into deep time, to witness the making of the rocky worlds. Long ago, before Mercury, Venus, Earth, or Mars had taken shape, there was only a vast disk of dust and gas encircling the young sun. It was a quiet beginning, grains of mineral and ice drifting in the solar light, gently colliding and sticking together. Over time, those tiny motes gathered into clumps, and the clumps into boulders, moving in slow orbits. Gravity tugged at this cosmic dust, coaxing it into larger and larger pieces. Bit by bit, the building blocks of planets were forming, quietly and inexorably, like snowflakes compacting into a mountainside. As the eons passed, those piles of stone grew into protoplanets. At first they were irregular and pockmarked, often meeting each other in glancing embraces that sometimes shattered and sometimes merged. Each collision released flashes of heat, melting parts of these young worlds. What had begun so gently gradually became a furnace of creation, planets to be glowing red with internal fire, their surfaces oceans of lava under black skies. The inner solar system was a chaotic nursery of new worlds, all forming simultaneously and jostling for space around the sun. Yet even in this turbulence, natural laws worked steadily towards order. The larger bodies pulled in the smaller, and the young planets cleared their paths. In time, the fury of formation subsided. The newborn rocky planets, still hot and molten, began to cool and solidify. Thin crusts formed over molten interiors. Heavy metals sank inward to form cores, while lighter rocks rose to make primitive crust and highlands. The bombardment of debris tapered off as most of the leftover material was swept up or flung away. What had been continuous fire and thunder eased into a calmer epoch. Showers of meteors became less frequent, and the surfaces of the worlds hardened and quieted. Slowly, an atmosphere might gather around a cooling planet, perhaps thick with carbon dioxide as on Venus, or tenuous like Mercury's, or rich with water vapour like the early Earth. The once blazing sky grew calmer, and the first stable oceans and skies could appear on those worlds fortunate enough to have them. Over millions upon millions of years, each planet found a kind of equilibrium. On some, Volcanoes continued to shape the land, but slower and gentler than before. On Earth, rains fell and oceans formed, smoothing the jagged newborn rocks and erasing many of the scars of creation. On Mercury and the Moon, lacking air or water, ancient craters remained, though even they were softened by dust and micrometeorites over eons. Time became the great sculptor, slowly rounding rough edges and soothing the aftermath of the fiery birth. What were once spheres of glowing magma turned into solid worlds with mountains, plains, and quiet skies. The violence of their youth was not forgotten. One can still see it in a crater's rim or a rugged highland, but it has been tempered by the long, slow rhythm of cosmic time. Thus, out of stone, fire, and time, the family of rocky worlds was born. Each carries the history of that turbulent genesis hidden in its rocks, the ages of fire and the ages of calm. We have seen how gentle time can soften even the harshest beginnings, turning chaos into quiet landscapes. Now, having glimpsed the origins of these planets, we return to our voyage through space. Ahead, Mars, the red wayfarer, awaits on the horizon, a world shaped by these same forces, yet uniquely itself. We leave the ancient past and drift back into the present, our spacecraft poised to journey onward. Our spacecraft leaves Venus behind and points its nose toward the farther reaches of the inner solar system. In the distance ahead, Mars awaits us, a faint, ruddy spark against the black. The sun is now more distant than ever on our journey, its light a touch gentler, its warmth a bit more tenuous in the void. Space around us is silent and vast, with only the far-off glow of stars and the soft band of the Milky Way to keep us company as we travel. There's a quiet sense of anticipation as we cross the darkness toward the next destination. Every so often, we turn to look back at the fading dot of our home. By now, Earth is just a tiny bluish speck, nearly lost in the sun's glare. The moon, even tinier, clings close to that speck in our view, like a child beside its parent. From here, all of human history, every ocean and continent, is contained in that single point of light. The realization is gentle and profound. Our beautiful home is at once precious and delicate, almost hidden in the vastness. With a feeling of reverence, we face forward again, carrying the memory of that little blue spark as we continue outward. Gradually, the red star ahead grows brighter and larger. Mars, the red wayfarer, is coming into focus. Its rusty hue stands out warmly against the emptiness of space. No longer just a pinprick, the planet begins to show a tiny disk. With each passing day of our approach, we discern an ochre globe with faint dark markings and a bright cap of white at one pole. Mars looks smaller than Earth, a rugged little sibling with a character all its own. There is a quiet thrill in knowing that soon we will see the deserts and ancient river valleys of this world that has long captured human imagination. Day by day, the red planet looms closer until it dominates our view. We can make out swirls of dusty atmosphere and the deep scar of a colossal canyon etched across its face. The sunlight here is weaker, tinting the Martian sky with a soft amber glow. As we prepare to enter Mars's sphere, we slip past its tiny moons, Phobos and Deimos, little potato-shaped rocks tumbling silently around their world. Mars itself now hangs beneath us, a vast expanse of rusty desert, cratered highlands, and polar frost. In its thin atmosphere, a pale pinkish sky meets the ruddy ground along a gently curving horizon. Hovering above Mars's quiet beauty, we take a moment to simply gaze. letting the reality of this new world wash over us. We arrive at Mars and gently slip into orbit around this crimson planet. For a moment, we pause in the voyage, poised between all that we have seen and the wonders yet to come. Below us lies the silent Martian landscape, and above, one by one, the stars are emerging as the sun sets over the rust-coloured horizon. It is a tranquil, expectant pause. In the stillness, we cast one more tender glance back towards the distant sun and the tiny glint of Earth we left behind, then turn our eyes forward once again. The voyage under Starlight continues, carrying us onward, ever deeper into the cosmos, with new horizons awaiting just beyond the dawn. Mars lies ahead as a hushed desert world of salmon sands and far blue twilights. We drift onward through the silent void, and ahead a gentle glow grows into a world. Mars appears as a hushed desert planet, tinted in soft rust and rose. In the blackness of space, it hangs quietly, a sphere of calm dunes and ancient craters. We have left behind the bright blues and greens of Earth. Here the colours are subdued, like the last embers of a fading fire. The surface below is veiled in fine dust, a powder the colour of sleep, blanketing the planet in muted red tranquility. As we draw nearer, the Martian landscape reveals itself in delicate detail. Vast expanses of sand stretch out, rippled by winds long past. There are rolling dunes frozen in time, their curves smooth and unbroken in the thin air. Dark rocks and meteorite remnants dot the terrain, casting short shadows under a coral sky. The atmosphere is tenuous, only a wispy haze clinging close to the ground, but it softens the horizon with a faint glow. Yet even in this stillness, there are echoes of a distant past. Through the thin atmosphere, we can discern subtle traces on the surface, winding channels and valleys that once might have carried water. Long ago, gentle rivers may have flowed across these plains, and shallow lakes might have mirrored the pink sky. Those waters are gone now, leaving ghostly riverbeds etched in the dusty ground, memories of a time when Mars was warmer and wetter. On the far horizon rises a tremendous silhouette, Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system. Now it lies dormant and dust-covered, a sleeping giant that hasn't stirred for eons. Mars has grown quiet over the ages. Its fires have cooled and its seas have vanished, leaving a world in deep repose, with only memories of its youth. We gaze downward and imagine standing on those lonely plains. The ground would crunch faintly underfoot, grains of iron-rich dust shifting with each gentle step. No sound disturbs the stillness, except perhaps a distant sigh of wind moving over a dune. The sky above during the day is not the deep blue of Earth, but a butterscotch hue, tinted by the fine particles suspended in the air. It is a sky that speaks of quiet and distance, wrapping the desert in daylight that feels like perpetual late afternoon. As evening approaches on Mars, the light changes in a subtle, wondrous way. The sun sinks low, and the dusty air scatters its rays differently than on our home world. Instead of fiery reds, the Martian sunset blooms in unusual blue tones near the sun. A cool azure halo surrounds the descending sun, a final gentle colour that contrasts the peachy sky. Twilight here is drawn out and soft. The salmon sands slowly lose their light, and a deep blue-grey dusk envelops the endless desert. It is a serene ending to the day, as if the planet itself sighs into sleep under a blanket of stars. In this twilight hush, Mars shows us its most tender colours. The normally ruddy plains turn a shade of muted purple in the dimming light. A few thin clouds, made of ice crystals high above, catch the last sunlight and glow briefly pink and blue against the darkening sky. We float above, watching night gently fall over a world that has known eons of lonely sunsets. Mars, the quiet neighbour, drifts through its evening with no sound but the whisper of a cold breeze lifting a bit of dust before settling again. The dust that gives Mars its colour also tucks it in each night, a powdery veil under which the planet sleeps. High above, one of the planet's tiny moons silently slips across the sky, a faint point of light moving among the stars, a quiet companion watching over the sleeping desert. Far on the horizon, where day still lingers, a subtle brightness glints at the edge of sight. It is a hint of frost or ice, a pale shine against the dusky red. Even on this arid world, near the poles, there are caps of frozen light reflecting the sun. As our journey continues, our eyes turn toward that soft gleam. The salmon sands of the Martian deserts yield to regions touched with white, where the planet holds onto ice and frost in the shelter of its frigid ends. We leave the equatorial deserts behind and drift toward those poles of frost and light, where Mars breathes quietly beneath sheets of winter. Ice caps at Mars's poles breathe with the seasons, revealing a planet's shallow tides of air. We arrive at the top of the world, where Mars wears a cap of white. Below us stretches the polar ice, gleaming softly in the sunlight like a calm sea of frost. This bright polar cap is a mixture of water ice and frozen carbon dioxide, spread across the barren ground in a broad, silent sheet. It is a striking sight against the surrounding rusty plains, a round patch of winter clinging to the planet's pole. The sunlight here is pale and gentle, reflecting off the ice and giving the polar sky a pearly glow. In the heart of winter, this polar region knows a profound stillness. The sun barely rises, if at all, leaving the land in an extended twilight and night. Temperatures plummet under the eternal darkness, and the atmosphere itself begins to fall as snow. Carbon dioxide gas, the main component of the thin Martian air, condenses in the frigid polar night. It settles onto the surface in delicate crystals, adding a fresh layer of dry ice to the cap. Over the long winter, this frozen layer grows thicker, as if the planet is inhaling and holding its breath. When spring comes, the scene slowly begins to change. The sun creeps above the horizon, bringing a gentle dawn that lasts for weeks on end. Daylight returns in a slow bloom, and with it, the polar cap awakens. The new warmth coaxes the frozen carbon dioxide to turn back into gas. In a silent, slow exhalation, the ice diminishes as the vapor slips back into the atmosphere. Wisps of carbon dioxide gas and water vapor rise from the thawing cap, forming thin, gauzy clouds that drift in the brightening sky. The once solid white plain takes on a rough, patchy appearance as dark ground peeks through where frost has evaporated. Gentle winds stir, carrying the newly freed gas and hinting at the shifting season. Throughout the summer, The polar sun circles the sky without ever fully setting. Under this unending daylight, the ice cap shrinks to its perennial core of water ice, a smaller but still brilliant patch shining amidst the reddish terrain. Here and there, streaks of dust become visible on the surface of the remaining ice, blown from afar and deposited in earlier storms. Each year, these dustings and frosts build up delicate layers, one atop another. The polar cap holds this quiet record of passing ages, light and dark bands in the ice, like rings inside a tree, preserving memories of ancient climates. In its silent stratigraphy lies the history of Mars's subtle breaths, the cycles of frost and thaw over millennia. As summer turns to autumn, the sun lowers once more, and the cycle gently reverses. The daylight hours shorten, the air grows crisp and cold, and again the pole begins to accumulate fresh frost. A soft dusk falls for the last time that year, and the long polar night returns. Mars exhales one last time, and then starts to inhale again, drawing its thin atmosphere back down as a new coat of winter snow. The balance of the planet's breath shifts, and on the opposite pole, the process becomes a mirror image. One pole releases gas, while the other traps it, a seesaw of seasons that has repeated for eons. These are the shallow tides of air on Mars. Not water tides like Earth's oceans, but gentle pulsations of the atmosphere itself. Standing above the polar cap, we feel the grandeur of this slow rhythm. In the brilliant sunshine of summer, the whiteness below is blinding and pure, stretching out to a horizon edged by a rosy sky. In the deep of winter, we imagine the darkness below, where even starlight glints off the ice in a blue twilight. There is almost no sound, save perhaps the faint murmur of a breeze moving over icy dunes, or the soft crackle of forming frost. It is a place of serenity, a vault of cold and light, where Mars quietly exchanges breath with its sky. From this frosted pole, our gaze now travels away toward warmer lands. Leaving behind the silent polar brightness, we drift once more over rust-colored plains. Under us, the ground transitions from white back to red and brown, from ice to rock and dust. In the distance, near Mars's equator, a great gash becomes visible, a vast canyon system cutting across the surface. Drawn by curiosity, we follow the thinning winds toward this colossal valley. The poles of frost and light recede behind us as we journey to where the Martian crust opens into a canyon the size of morning. Valles Marineris yawns with cliffs and shadows stretching in unhurried silence. Far below us, a deep scar cuts across the Martian face. The great canyon system of Mars unfurls in silence. From our high vantage, it stretches beyond the horizon, a network of chasms so vast that it defies immediate comprehension. This is Valles Marineris, a canyon that makes even Earth's grandest valleys seem small. It runs for thousands of kilometers along the equator, as if the planet had once cracked open under ancient stress. In the orange glow of Martian daylight, the canyon's edges cast long shadows onto its floor, shadows that slowly creep as the sun moves across the sky. At early morning, dawn touches the eastern rim of the canyon first. Golden light spills over jagged cliff tops that tower kilometers high, illuminating their upper edges, while the depths below remain in night's embrace. The western reaches of the canyon still lie in darkness, stars still twinkling above them, while far to the east walls begin to glow. Gradually, as minutes turn to hours, morning travels westward through this colossal trench. Sunlight pours further down the walls, unveiling more of their steep faces in hues of rose and gold. By the time the sun's rays reach the far end of the canyon, half a day may have passed. It is a dawn drawn out by distance, a morning as large as the canyon itself. We descend in our imagination to the canyon floor. Here the air is slightly denser than on the plateau above, collected in the low basin, though still tenuous and thin. Towering above on either side rise cliffs and broken slopes that seem to scrape the sky. Layer upon layer of rock is exposed in those walls, each stratum a different tone of red, amber, or brown. These layers hint at the planet's geologic story, carved out and revealed by landslides and time. Looking up, the strip of sky is narrow, a ribbon of blue-grey far overhead. In the morning, that ribbon is lit with the soft light filtering down, but large portions of the canyon floor linger in cool shadow, waiting for the sun to climb higher. Walking along the floor of this giant valley, one would feel an immense solitude. The silence here is profound. The thin atmosphere carries almost no sound. If a boulder were to loosen and tumble down a distant slope, you might see the puff of dust it raises, but the sound would reach you only faintly, if at all. The ground underfoot is strewn with fine sand and gravel that have slowly eroded from the canyon walls. Each footstep would be muffled by the dust. Occasionally, a gentle breeze whispers through, flowing along the length of the canyon as a slow draft. It stirs the sand in small swirls, but it has none of the force of winds on earth. Everything moves in a languid manner, as if time itself has slowed in this gigantic chasm. As the sun climbs toward midday, light finally reaches even the deepest recesses of the canyon. Cliffs that were cold and dark glow with warmth. The whole expanse is revealed in a soft, even radiance. Here and there on the cliffs, we see the aftermath of ancient landslides, immense slopes of rubble that spilled onto the floor ages ago, now lying still. Every feature of this canyon is on a grand scale, yet viewed from within, it feels oddly intimate and enclosed by the horizon of rock. High above, perhaps a solitary cloud drifts by, casting a drifting shadow that travels across the expanse below in utter silence. By evening, the cycle reverses. Long shadows grow again from the western walls as the sun begins to set. The canyon floor is once more swallowed by darkness, one section at a time. The last light clings to the highest pinnacles, and then it too fades, leaving the chasm under the deepening sky. Night comes gently, sprinkling stars across the thin Martian atmosphere. In the darkness, the outlines of the canyon are lost, and only the feeling of an enormous emptiness remains. Standing there in the night, one could look up beyond the rim and see the cosmos stretching overhead. Among the stars, two small companions of Mars make their presence known, Phobos and Deimos, the tiny moons of this planet, quietly cross the sky above the canyon's yawning mouth. Drawn by their subtle motion and faint light, we lift our eyes from Mars's great canyon and prepare to follow these little moons on their soft orbits. Phobos and Deimos drift as dim companions, tracing gentle paths around Mars. Leaving the canyon behind, we drift upward into Mars's thin sky, where two tiny moons circle the planet. Phobos and Deimos are Mars's diminutive companions, so small and faint that they were discovered only in the late 19th century. Up here, away from the Martian surface, the silence deepens even further. The two moons move in quiet ballet, each tracing its own path around Mars. Unlike the brilliant full moon we know from Earth's nights, these moons are subdued. they appear as little more than moving stars when seen from the Martian ground, pale and timid against the darkness. We draw closer to Phobos, the inner and larger moon. Even larger is relative. Phobos is only about 20-odd kilometers across, an irregular, lumpy world that could fit within a small city. It is not a perfect sphere, but more potato-shaped, battered by ancient impacts. As we glide alongside it, we see its surface up close. A grey, charcoal-coloured terrain covered in craters and dust. A single enormous crater dominates one end of Phobos, giving it an appearance of a sleeping face with a sunken eye. There is no atmosphere here, no sound at all. The sun's rays fall harsh and unfiltered, casting sharp shadows into the craters. The gravity is so weak that a gentle jump could send a traveller floating slowly above the ground. Everything about Phobos feels like it belongs to the realm of small, quiet things. Phobos races around Mars with surprising speed. Because it orbits so near the planet, it completes a circuit in just over 7 hours. If you stood on the Martian surface, you would see Phobos rise in the west, hurry across the sky, and set in the east in a matter of a few hours. From our vantage point, following Phobos's orbit, Mars itself dominates the view, a massive rust-coloured ball filling much of the sky. We watch as Phobos slides silently through the darkness, its barren rocks illuminated by the reflected glow of the Martian deserts below. The moon's swift motion is graceful in its own way, a perpetual falling around Mars that never ends, a soft orbit carved by time and physics. Farther out, we turn our attention to Deimos, the outer moon. Deimos is even smaller than Phobos, roughly half its size, and takes a more leisurely path around Mars. It needs about 30 hours to circle the planet once, so from Mars's surface it appears to drift slowly overhead, rising in the east and setting in the west over 2.5 days. Deimos is smoother in appearance than Phobos, its craters softened by layers of dust that have accumulated over ages. Its shape is irregular as well, like a rounded rock gently worn down. From up close, Deimos looks almost like a grey pebble suspended against the starry backdrop. It shines only faintly, reflecting just a bit of the sunlight. In fact, both moons are made of dark material, so they do not gleam brightly as our moon does. Instead, they lurk as shy, dusky shadows in the sky. Orbiting with Deimos, we feel the calm of its slow voyage. Mars below rotates beneath us, and every so often we catch sight of Phobos far beneath, overtaking us on its faster inner track. High above Mars, the stars are unblinking pinpoints, and the sun is a distant beacon casting a soft light on these tiny moons. Time almost stands still out here. We imagine standing on Deimos's surface for a moment. The horizon is not far away. With a few steps, you might see all there is to see. Mars hangs overhead, a colossal presence covering a large portion of the sky, glowing faintly red. The curvature of Deimos is gentle but definite, reminding us just how small this moon is. On this little worldlet, a human could jump and remain aloft for a long moment, descending like a feather. Everything is hushed and slow. Phobos and Deimos have circled Mars for countless millennia, witnessing the quiet dramas of the planet below. They have seen dust storms unfold like swirls of mist and watched sunlight glint off polar ice caps. As we accompany these moons in their silent rounds, we notice the world beneath them beginning to change. A pale haze is forming over the Martian plains, spreading gradually like a gauzy curtain. From above, it is almost imperceptible at first, a slight blurring of the surface features. But the moons know this sight well. Mars is breathing a bit of life into its atmosphere in the form of dust lifted by the wind. A storm is born in slow motion, fine grains of reddish dust carried aloft to dance in the sunlight. Drawn by this gentle commotion, we follow our gaze down from the heights of Deimos's orbit, back toward the Martian sky, where storms sing in dust. Mars's fine grains are lifted and set down again in a slow-moving lullaby. We descend back toward the Martian surface to witness a different kind of Martian whisper, the stirring of dust in the thin air. On a quiet afternoon, under a dim sun, the desert seems still. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, a delicate movement begins. A column of dust twirls upward from the warm ground, a tiny dust devil coming to life. It snakes its way across the plain, a slender whirlwind of fine sand that dances silently over the dunes. In the thin atmosphere, even this spinning funnel is hushed. There is only a faint hiss of grains brushing against each other. The dust devil leaves a darkened trail on the surface where it has lifted the top layer of bright dust, sketching a temporary path that soon will fade again into the endless expanse. These small whirlwinds are the desert's song on a sunny day. Brief, playful gusts that carry a handful of sand on a short journey before settling it back down. But there are times when Mars raises its voice in a grand, slow melody of dust. As the seasons change and sunlight grows stronger in certain regions, the air begins to move more vigorously. A gentle breeze picks up across hundreds of kilometers of barren land, lifting dust from the ground in innumerable little puffs. What starts as isolated plumes joining together becomes a vast, spreading haze. A regional dust storm is born, not with a roar, but with a soft, persistent murmur of wind over soil. Over days and weeks, the storm can grow, fed by sun-warmed winds that continue to draw fine particles into the sky. The haze thickens, spilling into neighboring regions, turning the atmosphere a uniform, dull gold. From above, we see the brightness of the surface gradually blotted out by a translucent blanket of orange. On the ground, day begins to resemble twilight. The sun, though still above the horizon, dims to a pale orb behind high dust. Shadows disappear in the diffuse light. The landscape is wrapped in a sepia-toned glow. There is an uncanny quiet in such moments. The wind, though it moves ferocious amounts of dust, is itself gentle against one's suit or skin. The air is so thin that even a strong gust feels like a soft breeze. Instead of a howling gale, the storm comes as a steady, whispering presence, carrying the sands of Mars into the sky. We imagine standing amidst this storm on a flat Martian plain. The sky overhead is a uniform apricot colour, with no blue or clarity, just dust in every direction. A fine powder settles on everything, on rocks, on our visor, on the metal of any resting rover. Each grain is incredibly small and light, kept aloft by updrafts that we cannot even see. There is a strange stillness in the experience. One might hear a faint rasping as particles strike against a surface, a gentle static hiss that fills the silence. It is the lullaby of the storm, a constant background sigh of dust moving and settling and moving again. When these storms grow to their fullest extent, they can wrap around the entire planet. Mars becomes, for a time, a featureless sphere of pale orange from space. Only the highest peaks, like the summit of Olympus Mons, might pierce the dusty blanket, standing as lone islands in a sea of clouded air. Under that vast shroud, the planet's surface lies in a strange dusk, even at noon. Yet, within this quiet gloom, there is a gentle constancy. The storm does not rage in flashes or thunder. It simply persists, day after day, an unending sunset tone across the heavens. Creatures, if any existed here, would not scurry for cover from pelting rain or fierce winds. They would simply wait, as everything on Mars waits, for the dust to settle in its own time. And settle it eventually does. After days or weeks, the solar heating that drove the storm abates. The winds subside little by little. Heavier particles fall back first. Then the finer motes slowly drift down like the tiniest snowflakes of rust. The sky begins to clear, revealing once more the pale yellow-brown daylight of Mars. On the ground, a fresh layer of powder now coats what it had before, redrawing the familiar terrain with subtle differences. Dunes slightly shifted, rocks newly dusted, old tracks perhaps covered over. In the aftermath, the stillness is profound. The storm has sung its final notes and gone, leaving Mars even quieter than before. As night falls after a long storm, stars pierce through the thinning haze and glimmer coldly above. One by one they reclaim the sky, joined by the slender shapes of Phobos and Deimos, continuing their patrol overhead. The air is calm again, the world below finally at rest. In the silence that follows, we feel the tug of the journey ahead. Our time around Mars is coming to a close. We bid farewell to the sleepy red planet, wrapped in its dusty dreams. Ahead of us, beyond Mars's orbit, lies a vast expanse of space, strewn with countless minor worlds. We set our sights on the asteroid belt, the broad ring of stones that circles the Sun between Mars and Jupiter. Leaving behind the Martian sands, we venture outward into the quiet gulf between stones. Ceres, Vesta, and countless minor worlds drift in calm procession. We voyage onward into the space beyond Mars, an interplanetary sea strewn with countless small worlds. This is the asteroid belt, a broad ring of ancient stones circling the Sun in quiet solitude. Contrary to popular images, it is not a crowded maze of colliding rocks. Instead, the asteroids are scattered immensely far apart, each one pursuing its own lonely path. We glide through this realm, and at first it seems almost empty, the darkness punctuated only by distant stars. But gradually our eyes adjust, and we begin to notice the faint glimmers of sunlight reflecting off wandering rocks. Here and there, a tiny world reveals itself, a speck of light moving steadily against the starry backdrop, the sign of an asteroid keeping its eternal appointment around the Sun. Our first close encounter is with the largest of these minor planets, Ceres. As we approach, Ceres appears as a round, mottled orb, much smaller than any true planet, yet clearly more than a simple rock. It is nearly 1,000 kilometers across, and massive enough that its own gravity has shaped it into a sphere. The surface of Ceres is a dusky grey, covered in craters from innumerable impacts over billions of years. Amid the monotony of its terrain, there are unexpected touches of brightness, peculiar shining areas within some craters. These bright patches are salts, remnants of briny water that once welled up from Ceres's interior and evaporated, leaving reflective mineral deposits. They catch the sunlight and gleam softly, like tiny mirrors set in dull stone. We drift above one such crater, and the bright region within it glows like a frost of light against the dark ground. Ceres itself rotates slowly beneath us, one gentle turn about every 9 hours, as if showing off its ancient, battle-scarred face from all sides. Despite its battered appearance, Ceres carries a quiet aura of potential. Beneath its cold surface, there may lie a layer of water ice, or even a subsurface ocean frozen in time. This little world, a relic of the early solar system, has held onto secrets in its silence. There are no active geysers or obvious motion now. All is still. A tenuous vapour may occasionally waft from its surface when the sun warms a patch of ice, but we notice nothing at the moment, except the steady twilight that blankets its ground. Above Ceres, the sky is black, and the sun is distant, but its faint rays still nurture this dwarf planet, with just enough warmth to glint off the salts and ice. Moving on, we set our sights on another prominent member of the belt, Vesta. Soon Vesta comes into view, slightly smaller than Ceres, but decidedly different in character. Vesta is not quite spherical. It is more of a rounded body, with a huge chunk taken out of its south pole. Long ago, a colossal impact gouged a giant crater there, nearly shattering Vesta, and the remnants of that cataclysm can still be seen as steep cliffs and an enormous central peak. As we fly closer, we can discern patterns of light and dark on Vesta's surface. Its rock is a bit brighter than Ceres's, laden with basalt from ancient lava flows that once reshaped parts of its crust. In places, streaks of lighter and darker material paint the crater walls, evidence of that violent excavation eons ago. Yet now, Vesta too is quiet and unchanging, save for the slow turn of day and night across its surface. We pass over the rim of the great southern crater and peer down into the shadows. All is still and soundless, frozen in the aftermath of an event that happened long before humanity existed. Scattered across the belt are countless smaller asteroids, each unique in form. Some are lumpy and elongated, like jagged shards of rock, tumbling gently end over end. Others are binary pairs, two rocks locked in a slow dance around each other as they jointly orbit the sun. Many are dark as coal, composed of carbon-rich material that absorbs most of the light, making them appear as furtive shadows against space. A few have glittering metallic veins, remnants of the cores of long-destroyed protoplanets, their metal now exposed to the cosmos. We keep a respectful distance from these wanderers, but even if we aim directly for one, the vast emptiness means we might easily miss it by thousands of kilometers. Such is the sparseness of the belt. To an observer, it is a silent expanse with solitary rocks separated by great gulfs. They share the same broad highway around the sun, but rarely do they meet. We take a moment to match orbits with a medium-sized asteroid, hovering alongside as it travels. The rock below us is perhaps a few kilometers across, an irregular chunk pitted with craters and coated in dust. In the weak sunlight, it casts a faint, stunted shadow into the void. Touching down here in our mind, we would find gravity so feeble that we could lift boulders with ease or leap and not come down for minutes. There is no air, no sound, only the slow turning of this fragment of a once larger body. It is humbling to realize that this rock has circled the sun countless times before life on Earth even began, and it will likely continue long after we are gone. The asteroid carries on, oblivious to the passage of time, content to follow its route around the sun indefinitely. Amidst this calm drift of worlds, occasionally there is a subtle change. Now and then, gravitational nudges from a passing comet or the distant pull of Jupiter disturb an asteroid's peace. Two asteroids might come close and alter each other's courses ever so slightly. Over millions of years, these small shifts can send an asteroid onto a new path, one that crosses the orbits of the inner planets. When that happens, A piece of stone that once quietly resided between Mars and Jupiter may find itself falling inward toward the Sun. Some of these wayward fragments eventually encounter Earth or other planets, flaming through their skies as meteors. Most perish in the atmosphere, but a hardy few reach the ground. In this way, the asteroid belt occasionally delivers gifts to the inner worlds. Visitors that fell from the night, carrying with them a bit of the story of these ancient stones. And it is to those quiet messengers, the meteorites, that our journey now turns. Meteorites arrive as quiet messengers, carrying cosmic stories into our hands. Imagine a still night in an open field or a quiet desert. Overhead, countless stars shimmer in the darkness. Suddenly, one of them seems to come alive and streak across the sky. A shooting star, brief and brilliant. In that silent moment, a piece of the cosmos is making its final journey. What we have witnessed is not a star at all, but a small rock from space, heated to incandescence as it rushes through Earth's atmosphere. High above, it left a glowing trail before cooling and falling to the ground as a new visitor on our world. Come morning, one might wander out to where the meteor fell and discover something unusual resting on the ground. Perhaps half buried in the soil or sand lies a dark stone, its surface charred by its fiery passage. It is unlike the native rocks around it, smoother in some parts, strangely pitted in others. Lifting it, you feel its weight, often surprisingly heavy for its size, if it is rich in iron. This object is a meteorite, a traveller from the night sky now cradled in human hands. It arrived quietly, without fanfare, a fragment of another world or of the space between worlds, now here with us. In your palm is a piece of cosmic history. As we examine such a meteorite, we realize it carries stories locked in its ancient minerals. Some meteorites are older than any rocks on Earth, formed in the early days of the solar system. Within their matrix, one can sometimes find tiny, shimmering beads, chondrules, which are droplets of molten rock that cooled in space billions of years ago. These little spheres are like time capsules from the birth of the sun and planets. Other meteorites are made mostly of metal, iron, and nickel alloy, with crystalline patterns that form only during the slow cooling of a planetary core. Holding one of those, we might be touching the heart of a long-vanished mini-planet that broke apart eons ago. And there are meteorites so special that they contain grains of stardust, microscopic crystals that predate our solar system, formed around ancient stars and later trapped in forming asteroids. In these unassuming rocks from the sky, we quite literally hold pieces of stars and the earliest universe. A few meteorites have even more poignant origins. There are stones we've found that were once part of the moon, and others that came from Mars. Long ago, an asteroid impact on Mars could fling rocks off its surface and into space. After travelling for millions of years in the dark, a lucky fragment might intersect Earth's path and fall through our atmosphere. When scientists cracked open such a Martian meteorite, they discovered tiny bubbles of air trapped inside. And remarkably, the air's fingerprint matched the atmosphere of Mars itself. Imagine, a fragment of the red planet can lie in a museum case or in a researcher's hand on Earth, quietly telling the tale of its distant home. Likewise, meteorites from the moon carry within them the chemical whispers of lunar soil. These rare treasures are direct links to other worlds, delivered to us by nature's own cosmic postal service. Most meteorites, however, come from the asteroid belt, the rocky debris of the solar system. They are pieces of the humble space rocks we passed in our journey, chips of Vesta's crust, or fragments of a shattered comet nucleus, or ancient carbon-rich boulders that never grew into planets. Some contain amino acids and other organic compounds, suggesting that the ingredients for life travel widely through space. One can't help but wonder, did such cosmic seeds play a role in life's beginnings on Earth? The meteorites do not answer loudly. They merely offer their subtle clues, like pages from a very old library, and invite us to read and imagine. Finding a meteorite is often a stroke of luck and patience. Many have been picked up in desolate places like the deep Sahara or the ice fields of Antarctica, where their dark forms stand out against monotony. Consider the scene. On a cold Antarctic day, a scientist spots a lone black rock sitting on a sheet of blue-white ice. No mountain nearby to have produced it, just a solitary ambassador from space. It's gently lifted and carried back for study, revealing that it fell to Earth thousands of years ago. Even after such a long time on our planet, it still retains the signature of its cosmic origins, preserved by the cold. There is a profound sense of connection when holding a meteorite. Its journey might have spanned tens of millions of years and uncountable miles, sailing through the void until gravity drew it down to Earth. It travelled in silence through darkness, witnessed perhaps only by the stars, until it arrived here to be found by curious eyes. In our hand, the meteorite's mute presence speaks. It reminds us that our world is not isolated. We are part of a greater tapestry, connected by threads of rock and dust to the outer reaches of our solar system and beyond. In the night sky, meteors will continue to grace our view, each a fleeting spark of reunion between Earth and something far away. Sometimes, during meteor showers, dozens of these dust grains burn up in Earth's atmosphere, a gentle fireworks display gifted by the trail of a comet long gone by. Those are mostly tiny and leave nothing behind but a memory of light. But now and then, a larger messenger arrives intact as a meteorite, ready to be discovered. These visitors that fell from the night carry whispers of other worlds, of the deep past, and of the vast cosmos beyond our sphere. As we contemplate the silent tales of meteorites, we turn our gaze outward once more. Not all visitors from the outer darkness come as quietly or as small. Far beyond the asteroid belt, great wanderers of ice and dust also voyage toward the sun. They announce themselves with glowing comas and trailing tails that span millions of kilometers. These are the comets, cosmic nomads, that loop through the solar system, sowing threads of light and leaving behind a gossamer trail. And even after they pass, the imprint of their visit lingers in the form of a faint, luminous glow along the zodiac. Our journey now follows these ethereal travellers toward the realm of comet tails and zodiacal glow. Threads of ancient ice unfurl as sunlight is drawn into faint gauze across the sky. Far out beyond the orbit of Mars, we find ourselves in the realm where the icy wanderers begin their journey inward. In the darkness of the outer solar system, a small and unassuming nucleus drifts, a comet in the deep freeze of space. For ages, it has been nothing more than a blackened ball of ice, dust, and organic material, silently orbiting the sun in a far-flung ellipse. Now, as it ventures closer to the inner solar system, the sun's warmth touches it for the first time in perhaps millennia. The surface of the comet begins to awake. Frozen gases sublimate directly into vapor, and jets of this gas, carrying dust, spurt out from its surface like gentle geysers in the vacuum. What was once an invisible speck is transformed by sunlight into a veiled traveler with a glowing aura. We approach this comet as it forms its shroud of light. Around its solid core, a delicate cloud called a coma expands, a great misty sphere of gas and dust that envelops the nucleus for tens of thousands of kilometers. The sunlight that drives off the comet's material also illuminates it, making the coma shine with a soft blue-green hue. Embedded in this tenuous coma are countless tiny grains of ancient ice and rock, the very threads of the comet's being. As the solar wind, a stream of charged particles from the sun presses outward. It catches the vapor and dust, drawing them out into long tails that trail behind the speeding comet. Two distinct streams unfurl in the darkness. One is a tail of ionized gas, glowing faintly bluish and pointing straight away from the sun, and the other is a broader tail of dust, more curving and coloured in pale yellow-white, reflecting the sunlight. These are threads of ancient ice stretching into space, material as old as the solar system itself, now extended into a magnificent plume. The comet that was once a quiet, frozen traveller has become a splendid apparition, announcing itself with twin tails that span millions of kilometres. From our vantage, we drift alongside this ethereal traveller. The comet's nucleus, though only a few kilometres across, now wears an atmosphere of its own making that dwarfs any planet. We venture gently closer, skimming the edge of the coma. Here, the environment is ghostly. The gas is so thin that we would not feel it, but we see the sunlight glinting off motes of dust all around us. It is like floating through a pale, glowing fog that has no scent, no pressure, only light. Tiny particles of dust, freed from the comet, drift by. Each speck is a piece of primordial material, a crumb of the early solar system that has been locked in ice until this moment. They move past us slowly, carried by the outward flow of gas. If we extend a hand, in our mind's eye, we could catch one, but it would vanish, sublimating at the warmth of our touch. Such is the fragility of a comet's substance. As the comet draws still nearer to the sun, its tails grow longer and brighter. The dust tail broadens into a soft, fan-shaped glow, and the ion tail may wiggle in the solar wind, creating streamers and knots that shift over days. We recall that from Earth, in ages past, humans have occasionally looked up to see such a sight gracing their twilight skies. A great comet hanging above the horizon, its luminous tails stretching across the stars. One can imagine the awe and wonder such a vision would inspire. A silent beacon in the night, appearing as if by magic. In truth, it is the sun's doing, turning a dark, icy nucleus into a temporary work of cosmic art. Those on Earth who have seen a bright comet remember the delicate splendour. Perhaps a pale, swan-like tail glowing in pre-dawn darkness, or after sunset, seemingly painted on the heavens. In ancient times, comets were thought to be omens or spirits. Now we understand them as natural phenomena, yet their beauty is no less stirring. Under a dark sky, a comet's tail can seem to beckon, drawing the eye upward along its celestial stream towards the stars. Following the comet on its journey, we eventually watch it round the sun and begin to depart. As it recedes to colder realms, the geysers on its surface gradually cease. The coma and tails dissipate, leaving the comet once again a dark, inert wanderer heading back to the outer darkness. It will travel far, perhaps beyond the orbits of the giant planets, slowly refreezing, collecting its energy for another passage ages hence. In its wake, however, the comet leaves something behind. Fine grains of dust, shed along its orbit like a trail of memories. These grains spread out over time into a diffuse band that still circles the sun on the comet's path. Now our attention turns to a subtle phenomenon born of countless such trails. The inner solar system is filled with dust left by generations of comets and ground-down asteroids, and this dust forms a tenuous, lens-shaped cloud that stretches from the vicinity of the sun outward beyond Earth's orbit. Normally, we do not notice it. It's too faint against the bright sky. But in the deep of night, or at the edge of twilight, this dust reveals itself as the zodiacal light. As Earth's sky grows dark after sunset, if one is far from city lights, a ghostly glow appears above the horizon along the path of the sun. It is a soft, diffuse pyramid of light, tapering upward into the sky. This is sunlight drawn into faint gauze, the distant sun's rays reflecting off billions of microscopic dust motes scattered through space. In fact, in some cultures, it is poetically called the false dawn. We imagine ourselves now on a quiet hilltop just before dawn, the sky a deep indigo. There, along the eastern horizon, rises that delicate glow of the zodiacal light. It has a pearly quality, a tender brightness that does not overpower the stars, but sits among them as a subtle veil. This glow is the collective shine of debris from comets and asteroids, each tiny particle reflecting the sun one last time before night fully reigns. It's as if the sun has cast a secret signal into the night, a promise that it will return soon. The zodiacal light arches upward along the ecliptic, creating a bridge of luminescence. Under such a sky, one feels the immense quiet of space, the connectedness of things, the dust under our feet and the dust drifting between the planets, both catching the same sunlight. From the perspective of our spacecraft out beyond Earth's orbit, the zodiacal cloud is even more apparent. Looking sunward, we see a faint band encircling the sun, a diffused halo of light extending through the ecliptic plane. It is like a dimly glowing scarf around the inner solar system, woven from the long disintegrated comets and ancient collisions. This glow is never absent. It's just drowned out by daylight. Only when the sky is dark can its presence be sensed, reminding us of all the journeys, every comet that left a trail, every asteroid that collided and crumbled, contributing to this gentle luminosity. Having witnessed the comets and the zodiacal light, we carry with us a deeper appreciation for the finely threaded connections in our cosmic neighborhood. The journey under Starlight has shown us not only solid worlds and moons, but also the most delicate of structures, tails of vapor, glows of dust, all serenely beautiful. Now, leaving the inner solar system's glow behind, our gaze fixes upon the outer reaches. Ahead, the darkness grows deeper, and the sun diminishes further in our view. Far in the distance, however, one point of light shines with a steady brightness, the giant planet Jupiter, waiting with its banded clouds and myriad moons. With comets and dust fading into memory, we turn our craft toward that beacon. Engines humming low, we begin a long arc outward, our hearts steady, as we set course for the realm of Jupiter's distant bands. Engines low and hearts steady, we turn toward Jupiter's distant bands. The spacecraft's engines whisper with a low, continuous hum, providing a gentle push that guides us on our long arc toward the outer solar system. We have left the realm of the inner planets and their circling debris behind. The sun, now far smaller than when we began our journey, shines with a brilliance that is still piercing but more distant. Its light casts our ship in a soft silver hue as we cruise through the interplanetary dark. Here, in the silence between worlds, we feel an intimate calm. There is no rush. Our trajectory is set, our course gradually bending toward the giant planet ahead. With each passing day, the stars around us remain fixed in their constellations, but the sun shrinks ever so slightly, and the vast gulf separating us from the outer planets grows thinner. Inside our vessel, time flows in a slow, measured rhythm. The crew, which in spirit is all of us journeying together, goes about the gentle routine of a long voyage. We occasionally press our faces to a window and gaze out at the darkness speckled with starlight. The Milky Way's band is crisp out here, unmarred by any atmospheric haze. The only sound is the soft vibration of the engines and the faint ventilation breath of our life support, a reminder of our tiny, self-contained world moving through emptiness. Our hearts are steady, filled with quiet anticipation. We know that far ahead, beyond the black curtain of space, waits Jupiter, the first of the gas giants, and each day brings us a little closer to its embrace. There is a tranquility in this transit. At times, we turn our gaze forward through the cockpit glass, peering at the bright pinprick that is Jupiter. At first, it was just a bright star among others, but as the weeks and months pass, it begins to distinguish itself. The dot grows into a tiny disk, and one day we can discern subtle variations of colour, a hint of the orange and white banding that ripples through Jupiter's atmosphere. Around that disk, if we magnify our view, we catch glimpses of 4 tiny sparks of light, the Galilean moons, dancing in orbit around the giant. Even from afar, we witness a miniature solar system in its own right, moons gliding around their enormous parent. The realization of Jupiter's scale dawns on us slowly. We are still millions of kilometers away, and yet this planet already commands such presence in our view. As we travel onward, our minds wander over the journey that has brought us here. In the span of time since leaving Mars, we have drifted through the asteroid belt like a silent traveller on an ancient ocean. We have seen the remnants of collisions and the dust of comets glinting in the sunlight behind us. Each experience has been a step outward, farther from the sun's warmth and deeper into the cosmic night. Now, the temperature of space around us has dropped. The sunlight is fainter, spread thin over distance. But guided by our craft's gentle thrust and our own resolve, we continue forward, carrying the warmth of curiosity within us. Occasionally, we look back to see the sun and all the inner planets contained in a small patch of sky. It is a humbling and soothing sight, to see home as a tiny point of light, perhaps the pale blue dot of Earth, barely visible near the sun's glare. Somewhere on that distant speck, nights and days go on, unaware of our silent passage out here. This perspective reminds us of the preciousness of our home, and also the vast possibilities ahead. Turning again to the forward view, we focus on the destination looming larger by the day. At long last, after a slow and steady approach, Jupiter becomes a dominant presence in front of us. By the time we cross into the outer reaches of its domain, the planet is no longer a mere spot, but a great striped sphere suspended against the starry background. Its bands of cloud creams, oranges, and reds wrap around its circumference in majestic symmetry. We can make out hints of swirls and oval storms within those bands, slowly stirring patterns in its thick atmosphere. Jupiter's reflected sunlight bathes our spacecraft in a faint golden glow. It feels as if we have arrived at an entirely new kind of world, one made not of rock and dust, but of cloud and storm and immense gravity. We begin to sense the tug of Jupiter's gravity, subtly drawing at our trajectory, a gentle reminder of the giant's influence. The engines that once quietly pushed us here ease off. We prepare to let Jupiter's gravity do the work of pulling us in. Our craft adjusts its orientation, and through the windows we catch sight of the planet's immense face, filling more and more of our view. Jupiter's 4 largest moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, now appear as distinct orbs, each a fascinating world on its own, poised in their orbits like a welcoming committee. We feel a growing excitement, but it remains calm and measured. We are poised on the threshold of discovery, ready to enter the realm of this giant world.